All right, I want to go over 5 quick things that you can do at low cost to no cost to boost your bottom line. So obviously this isn't going to be an extensive list, but these are 5 relatively simple things that you can do, implement into your countertop company that should help boost your profitability. Now the first thing is to focus on your bottleneck. And I guess the first question that a lot of people ask is, well, what do you mean a bottleneck? Are we talking about a soda can here? But every business has a bottleneck, and the bottleneck is going to be a place or stage in your business where the process is impeded. So one of the most common places to think about a bottleneck in a countertop company is if you've done a time study and you're monitoring how much countertop your shop can fabricate. Let's say you've done the time study, your saw guy, he's good, he can cut 600 square feet a day. And let's say you're a commercial fabricator and you do a lot of 2cm and you've got a lamination guy that's laminating up that edge. Your lamination guy, he can laminate up to 400 square feet a day. Obviously he's going to be doing it in linear feet, but you're keeping track of the jobs and he can laminate up to 400 square feet a day. Then you come over to the polisher that's actually polishing edge, and you see that your polishers can only get through 200 square feet of countertops per day. So you've got your saw guy that can cut 600 square feet, your lamination guy that can do 400 square feet, and your polishing guy that can do 200 square feet. Your bottleneck is at your polisher, because if your polisher could do more square footage each day, you could get a lot more through the shop. So even though your saw guy is cutting 600 square feet, the most you can get through your shop each day is 200 square feet, because that is the maximum that your polisher can get done. Now, the only way you're going to know this is if you've actually done time studies and you're seeing where each of the phases has the bottleneck within your shop. If you're just kind of taking a random shot in the dark, you're really not going to know where that bottleneck is. Now, once you've done this and you know, hey, I've got 600 square feet at the layout guy, I've got 400 square feet, the lamination guy, and I've got 200 square feet at the polisher, then you can start making course corrections within your business to increase the productivity in your shop. So I think the first thing everybody would go to immediately in that is, man, we need to hire more polishers. We need to get more polishers in here, and so we can increase productivity by hiring more polishers. And that is one option. You could go ahead and just start hiring more polishers, but in today's world, it's kind of hard to find people. So it might take you a while to find another polisher. So another course correction that you could make is say, hey, right now I can only get 200 square feet of polishing done per day, but my saw guy is cutting 600 square feet. That's what he's capable of. Well, if he can cut 600 square feet in an 8-hour day, maybe you have him stop at a half day, have him cut 300 square feet in 4 hours, and then have your saw guy move over and help increase the productivity in your polishing. Obviously, you would have to cross-train your layout guy to be able to polish, but he's got excess capacity that you can't get through the shop anyways. So why not cut him and move him over to polishing, get him cross-trained, and then let's say you're cutting 300 square feet out a day. You're then laminating up to 400 square feet, so you're moving that 300 through, and then by putting the saw cut guy on your polishing, you're able to increase from 200 to say 300 square feet a day. You still picked up almost 30% in productivity just making a simple change and not having your saw guy cut all day. And you're not losing anything because everything that he was cutting was just stacking up and backing up anyways. So now you've got less chance of damaging that stuff and you're able to move everything through your day. So in business, you always need to be looking at the bottleneck, and that's just one example. You know, most people are always thinking about the throughput in their shop, but you can be looking at bottlenecks with your templators. What is slowing them down? How can I make a change there? You can be looking at bottlenecks within your install team. What can I do there? How can I help them remove obstacles so they can be quicker? You can also be looking at your business side. You know, at what's preventing me from being able to turn quotes in 24 hours? How come we're not able to schedule as efficiently as we'd like to? You can break down your entire business and start isolating individual bottlenecks, and then you know specifically where to allocate your resources towards so that you can get more throughput and become more profitable. Now, every time you focus on a bottleneck and you solve that bottleneck, you're going to create a bottleneck somewhere else. So for instance, if we've solved the polishing bottleneck and our cutting has come down, now we need to focus on the next bottleneck, which might be edge lamination. So your bottleneck is constantly going to be moving around, and you constantly want to be moving resources to attack those bottlenecks. So I know a lot of people don't specifically isolate within their business. I'd say probably fewer than 10% of the shops are actually doing time studies and square foot studies to see where everything is moving forward, or tracking customer service and tracking things like that on the business side. But I would encourage you guys, implementing a time study and a tracking system costs nothing. And then you can specifically isolate where your challenges are and where your bottlenecks are. And then you can help improve them so that you can get more profit with what you're already doing. So my first thing is focus on the bottleneck and allocate your resources there. Second thing that we can do is we can load our install trucks the night before. And I know this seems really kind of stupid, and you know, what's the difference if I load the trucks in the morning or we load them at night? Doesn't really make a difference. And honestly, I used to think the same thing when we had our first company. And I had consultants come in, and one thing you learn about when you bring consultants into your business is you think, okay, this is great. The consultants are going to come in and they're going to figure out everything that's going wrong with the employees and where we need to make changes. And what you quickly find out is bringing consultants into your business is kind of like taking your dog to the dog trainer. You think they're going to tell you everything that's wrong with the dog, but actually all they end up doing is telling you where all of your systems are failing, what you haven't put into place, how you're thinking about things wrong. You know, if you're going to bring consultants into your business, you really need to have thick skin, because as a business owner, everything comes back on you. You are 100% accountable for everything that happens in that company, and you're going to quickly find out that the reason a lot of stuff fails is because you haven't thought through the systems and you don't have standard operating procedures in place to make things go smoothly. So one thing we did was we changed from loading up our install trucks in the morning to loading them up the night before. Now, in the mornings, we generally ran 1 or 2 shifts depending on the busyness of our business. The guys would generally get started around 5 p.m. and work to, or 5 a.m. and work to 2 p.m. for the first shift. And then the second shift would generally come in around 1 p.m. and work from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. But that morning shift, I mean, when they come in at 5 a.m., I mean, they've got their coffee, they're waking up. I don't care how much of a morning person you are, when you're getting up at 4 a.m. to get to a job at 5 a.m. And we used to do this, and it was in Arizona, so everybody wanted to work the morning shift because it was cooler. But still, you're groggy in the morning, you're moving slow. There's really not a super incentive to get that truck loaded and move quickly. You're loading it up at your leisure, and then you're getting on the road to get to that first install. So what we did is we moved it to the evening before. All the install trucks had to be moved the evening before. We had a template, we had an install truck checklist to make sure all the tools were on there. We had all the router bits, we had all the polishers, we had all the underlayment, we had everything that we knew we were going to need for that next morning. So the night before, we would load all the countertops into the shop, into the install trucks. We would go through our checklist to make sure everything was loaded so we weren't missing anything. And then the following morning, the installers would show up, jump in the trucks, and get on the road first thing to get out to get to that first install. Now, in the morning, there's really not a lot of incentive to, get that install truck loaded. You're kind of just moving in, taking your time. But in the evening, when you're trying to get home and you want your day to be over and get home to your family, it's amazing how much faster you can get those trucks loaded, right? So we had rules. Every night, the trucks were supposed to be gassed up before they were returned to the shop. They gassed up the Isuzu box trucks before they got to the shop. When they got to the shop, they were loaded with the jobs for the next day. The template the install checklist was gone through each and every time. I know that seems redundant, but by going through it every single time, we made sure that every installer got to every job site and was not missing anything that they needed. And then we went off and ran. And the one thing I learned from the consultants more than anything else is that I'm looking at the business and I'm thinking, okay, how can I make more money? And I was always looking at what's the one big thing that I can do? Okay, maybe I buy a CNC and that's going to revolutionize the way we do this thing, and that's going to make me, an extra $10,000, $20,000 a year. But the reality is the where you make your big profits is, okay, I have 4 install crews. If I shave 15 minutes a day from each of their schedules and I free up 15 minutes times 4 install crews each day, how much more profit does that make me in a week, in a month, and in a year? And you will be surprised at how quickly the little small salami shavings add up. I mean, if you're saving $50 a day, at the end of the week, you've saved $250. At the end of the month, you've saved $1,000. At the end of a year, you've got $12,000 extra in your pocket. I mean, that's a pretty good trip to Hawaii, unless your wife spends a lot of money in Hawaii, but $12,000 will get you a nice trip to Hawaii, or take the kids out to Disney World. So the small things add up, and they add up quickly. So when I say load the trucks the night before, it's not so much about loading the install trucks as much as it is trying to figure out where can I make small, significant changes that can add up over time. And one place that those changes were made significantly in our business was loading the trucks the night before. It saved us on average of 15 to 20 minutes each morning because the guys hit the road sooner, got through their installs, and got done. So load the trucks the night before. Look for the small areas that you can save money that'll add up and stack up over time. The next thing we've got is implementing IT to streamline your operations. I know a lot of shops are still using the whiteboards, and that's great, and you've got Post-it notes on there and you're moving things around, or you're doing your quotes by hand. If you can figure out where your bottlenecks are and what is taking you the longest, and implement some form of IT into the system to help streamline operations so that those repetitive tasks can just get knocked out, it is going to make you a tremendous amount of money. One place that you can implement IT to make a huge impact is in your quoting. You know, we used to use MoreAware and CounterGo to do all of our quoting. The advantage to that was every single person on our team that was doing quoting did the quotes the exact same way. Every single number was programmed into CounterGo for every single material. They drew the countertop. The computer automatically added up the square footage. It laid out how many slabs or sheets of material you thought you need. We did not do anything by the square foot. We did everything by number of slabs or sheets plus the labor. CounterGo can help you calculate that easily and do the layout to make sure that you're getting the precise order done every single time. There's very little chance of error. The only time there's really going to be a mistake is if you draw a countertop incorrectly in the program and put in the wrong measurement. Otherwise, if you've drawn the countertop correctly and you've got the right measurements in there, your quote is going to be accurate nearly 99% of the time, unless there's something else you completely screw up, like you choose the wrong material, or you choose the wrong color, or you put in some variable else that's wrong, right? Obviously, you can't eliminate all of the human interaction and get it down to just being a computer, but if you can get some software in place that can make a difference, it'll help tremendously. Now, if you're not ready to do something like MoreAware or pay for a monthly program, you just don't feel you're there yet, design an Excel spreadsheet that'll help you add up everything manually and get it done. You guys can go to Upwork.com and pay somebody $150 to design you an Excel spreadsheet that'll calculate all the square footage for you, put in all of your pricing, and spit all of that out for you. You don't necessarily have to use sophisticated IT programs, but anywhere that you can use IT to streamline your process and get rid of those repetitive tasks, those are the small things that are going to free up time that's going to really stack up and make you more profits in the long run. Plus, if you can be turning quotes or doing things quicker and faster than your competitors, you're going to snag more business, and it's going to be a lot better for you in the long run. The only thing I caution when it comes to IT is if you are a small business and you go all in on a software program, please make sure that that software program is capable of scaling to a large size business. I know when you're small, let's say you're under $1 million, you don't really ever think about what your needs are going to be when you hit 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, $10 million. But I can tell you, if you put a program in place that's only capable of scaling to the $1 million price point when you have $1 million in revenue, when you surpass that and you have to rip that Band-Aid off and change from one software program to another, it is a royal pain in the butt. I have gone through this with companies that are small in the $1 million to $5 million range. I have also gone through software changes with companies when I'm running divisions that are nearly $500 million. And let me tell you, it doesn't matter if it is a small company or you're running $1 billion division. If you have to make a software change, it is painful at all levels. So I would say, hey, I know that my goal is to be a $5 million a year countertop company. That's where everything works for me. That's what's going to pay my bills. If that is your goal, get the software in place as soon as you can afford it that will scale you to that, so that when you do get to $2.5, $3 million, you're not having to rip that Band-Aid off, relearn everything, re-import everything, and go from there. So the only thing that is worse than no software is having bad IT. So do your research, find something that's going to work for your company, and get that implemented, not implicated, but do your research and make sure that you're getting the right solution for your company. Next practice I found that can be implemented really quickly is redefining what marketing is. So most people have gone to school or in high school, somewhere along the way, you've gone to a course, you've been taught the 4 Ps: price, product, promotion, and place. And almost everybody is focused on those things for their marketing strategy. And that was the way it was all the way from, the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and even the early 2000s. That was the way everybody did marketing. The problem with that, it is a product-focused marketing mix. It is not a customer-focused marketing mix. And the customers nowadays are very savvy. They are very astute. They've got the internet. A lot of these customers probably know more than your average worker at your countertop. I mean, these guys are prepared to spend anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000, even more on their countertops. They have done a ton of research online, and they know what to expect. So in today's world, the customer wants a brand that is going to be customer focused and catering to their needs. Now, the average customer, the way they make a buying decision is they're looking at your total brand and everything about you. It's not just the marketing flyer that comes to you. Back in the day, there wasn't the internet. You really couldn't learn a lot about a company. It was pretty much, hey, I got this marketing. I saw this. They did a job for Marty over here. Let's just go with them. But today's consumers are very savvy. So when they call your company, they're paying attention to how you answer the phone. They're paying attention to how you talk. When they walk into the shop, they're making assumptions about your business, whether it's right or wrong, based on how clean your shop is, how clean is your showroom, how articulate is your sales staff, are they personable, are they taking care of you? Customers are evaluating you on a myriad of different topics, and that's how they're determining who they're going to do business with. One way to look at this is Chick-fil-A. I mean, Chick-fil-A does an enormous amount of business, and the main thing they do is they treat customers with respect. Have a blessed day. How are you? They simple things within their vocabulary that they say to customers that nobody else is saying, and the customers are paying attention to that. So when you guys are thinking about marketing your business, you guys need to be going through every single phase of your business. When I walk into my shop in the showroom, does it feel clean? Is there stuff out of place? Is there trash piled there? Are there miscellaneous papers stacked off to the side that we need to clean up? Is our sales team, are they dressed professional? Do they have polos? Do they look respectable? Does this look like somebody that I would trust spending my money to and giving my money to? When I come out to the shop, does the equipment look clean? Are the floors clean? How does that look? Now, we tell everybody that, hey, you shouldn't judge a book by a cover. You should get to know somebody, and that is a best practice, right? Obviously, you shouldn't judge a book by a cover, but let me tell you, 99% of the world is judging the book by the cover. So when you come to your business, you really need to be looking at the cover and thinking, how am I being evaluated by this customer? Am I making a good impression? Am I a company that I would buy from? Am I a company that my customers are going to want to buy from? And you need to get this across to all of your employees. How they talk on the phone matters. How they interact with the customers matters. How quickly they schedule templates and installs matters. What the installers look like when they show up on site matters. How they talk to the customers matters. Does our truck look clean and fresh? Is it something that the customer is going to be embarrassed to have in their neighborhood? Especially if you are working on ultra luxury homes, do not show up with a truck that is leaking oil and looks like trash. If you're in an ultra luxury home, one of my companies built luxury homes for 15 years, right? When you're in neighborhoods that are 5, 10, 20, up to $100 million in price, it's a very image conscious neighborhood. They do not want piece of garbage trucks and stuff in their front lawn. They do not want people showing up looking raggedy. They want people that are professional, that are on point and communicate clearly. So you're not going to be dialed in everywhere, right? Not every single business is going to be perfect in every area, but you can start going through your business systematically. One of the first things you can implement is, hey, every night before we go home, this showroom and this office is clean. All the miscellaneous papers are put away. All the samples are stacked back up. When you come in the morning, this place feels fresh, clean, and inviting, right? Early on in my career, I was fortunate to have a really great mentor, and I got to be a part of the Executive Association of Phoenix. It was actually one of my requests for the first job I took on, and I had some amazing mentors like Paul Fleming at P.F. Chang's and Doug of Cold Stone Creamery and Mike Pendergraft of American Ballet, and all of them are very high-end brands and very well-respected brands. And one of the things they said the most is their customers, what they are worried about is what the customer does not see. You know, what makes a good experience at P.F. Chang's is what you don't see. You don't see dirty dishes. You don't see messes. You don't see a sloppy kitchen. You don't see a sloppy bar. Start focusing on what the customer does not see and what needs to be removed from their purview so that they have a great experience in your business. So redefine what your marketing means and understand that everybody in your business is responsible for the perception that your customer perceives about your business, and that all becomes marketing, not just the shiny flyers or the website that your customers are visiting. Best practice number 4. Now this one kind of rubs people's feathers a little bit wrong, but best practice number 5, I recommend that you make sure that everyone understands that everybody is replaceable. And this does not mean that you need to be striking fear into the hearts of all your employees, right? When you're saying everybody is replaceable, what you need to be focused on is that everybody is cross-trained, everybody knows what's going on, and that you have systems in place that should somebody have to go away for a week to attend a funeral, or should somebody get sick for a week, you have standard operating procedures in place that your business will continue to run with that person gone, right? You've got people that are cross-trained so that if a polisher goes out, or let's say a polisher gets injured, hey, my edge lamination guy can step in and fill in here. If you have a sales team member that goes down and gets sick, you've got somebody else from your team that can go in and handle that. And this includes you as the owner. A lot of business owners think, hey, I'm the owner of this business, I am indispensable. You need to make sure that if you were to get sick, or that you need to go out of town, or there's an emergency, you can pull away from your business for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and your business will continue to run. And what this means is it's shifting your business from being more of a business that's run by individual people, that it's becoming a business that is run by systems, right? And we don't want it to become so systemized that it gets cold and it's impersonable and you can't react and make adjustments on the fly. But when it comes to common tasks that actually drive your business, you need to make sure that those systems are dialed in so that everybody in your business can easily figure out what they're supposed to do and what their role is. Right? I've had the pleasure of working for some amazing world-class businesses over the years. I mean, I truly have been blessed to work for some of the best of the best. Some of them had operating systems that I was like, oh my gosh, like these seem really over the top. And some of them did have systems, so many systems in place, it kind of stifled the creativity in some areas. But when you're a multi-billion-dollar organization, you know, your risk and your liability is super high. So you really can't have people thinking too far out of the box, because if there is one mistake that goes wrong in a multi-billion-dollar company, the warranty implications or the liability implications can be huge. Now, on the flip side, I have also, unfortunately, but it is actually a fortunate situation, I've worked for one of the worst run companies I've ever been a part of that was completely disorganized, and everybody seemed to be doing their own thing. Nobody had a clue what was going on with anybody else's role. The only way they figured that they could solve that was so that everybody was in the know, was on Monday mornings we'd have a completely waste of time 3-hour conference call every single Monday, and everybody would run through what they were doing each week. Every single person on a team would run through. And to be honest with you, nobody cared. All it did was demoralize the team. Everybody sat around wondering, what the hell is wrong with this company? It was an utter train wreck. Now, I say it was a fortunate experience because working for all these world-class companies and having such great mentors my entire life, I kind of just took it for granted, right? Like, oh my gosh, I've worked for some amazing companies. They have great systems in place. I've worked for some of the best leaders in America. I really didn't get to see how a business ran without those types of systems in place, without good IT, without good leadership. And then when I finally did work for one of those companies, it was like, oh my God, this is why you need to have all of these systems in place. This is why you need to make sure that everybody is replaceable. This is why you need IT and you need a CMS system like Salesforce or Joomla so that everybody can be on the same page. When your company starts to scale and grow, once it reaches a critical mass and you've got 20, 30, 40 employees and they're not all on the same page, it just becomes a total freaking cluster and nobody knows what's going on. And then everybody is trying to do their own things and it just becomes an utter train wreck. And then your problem is going to be when you finally do get top talent on your team, they're not going to stick around. So when I go through these best practices, these top 5 things, none of these things really cost much money to implement. Most of them is just going to be a mindset shift on how you're thinking about your business, right? I'm not saying that, hey, you need to go spend a ton of money. What I'm saying is look at your business. Are there simple mindset shifts that you can make as you go through each of your processes and operations and just start to make those small changes and get things dialed in, right? I know we made these pretty much all 5 of these things, right? We've made all of these changes in our countertop companies. We also have owned an auto detail company, a healthcare company. We've owned a floral shop. We've owned several different businesses. And it doesn't really matter what the business is. These are kind of the 5 best practices that we implement across the board into all of our family companies. And they have made significant improvements in the bottom line, in employee morale, and in the eyes of our customers, just by changing our mindset and looking at the small little details and focusing on getting incrementally better each day, rather than just trying to be like, well, I can't make this one big change, so we're not going to make anything. The difference is in the details, and if you will implement these 5 best practices, I guarantee your business will start to see results nearly immediately. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, give me a call. We're always here. Our goal is to help make everybody's business better. We truly believe a rising tide lifts all ships, and we thank you for your time.